Hello, today we're going to talk about using the distributive property to simplify expressions. Prior to today, we've talked about how you can combine your like terms, and we're just going to add another layer onto that with the distributive property. If you remember, the distributive property states that you get the same result multiplying a number by a sum or a difference in some cases. You get the same result you would as if you multiplied each value within the parentheses by the factor that's in front of it. So in other words, taking 2 and multiplying it by the sum of a plus 3 will have the same result as taking 2, multiplying it by a, and then adding that product to 2 times 3. Also want to review that like terms are terms that have a common variable or variables, or sometimes in some cases they have no variable at all. So if we were going to look at this list of terms and combine our like terms, we would take everything with an x, like 2x, 4x, we would say those are like terms. Using them, I'm going to cross them out. 3y, negative 7y are alike because they both have the variable y. I can group them. 10xy cannot be grouped with the x's or the y's because it has both of those variables within that term. Therefore, it is not like any of the others. Now we're going to take those two pieces, the distributive property and combining like terms, to simplify this expression. We of course can't solve this expression because we're missing our equals to another expression. That's not what we're doing today. We're simplifying or rewriting this in its simplest form. Our first step is to eliminate parentheses with the distributive property. And we're going to do just that. We're going to take this 3 and we're going to distribute it to both numbers within the set of parentheses. We're going to use multiplication to do that. So I'm just going to take 3 times the quantity or the sum of x plus 5. That's 3 times x plus 3 times 5. And then we're going to be careful not to forget these dangling pieces here, so bring them down. 2x plus, that was just from this original expression. We don't want to forget about it. Now I'm going to go ahead and do that multiplication. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 5 is 15. Go ahead and bring down that plus sign. And don't forget about the rest of the expression. Don't leave it out. And now I'm going to find my like terms and combine them with addition, since there is addition going on between each term. So secondly, combine like terms with addition. So let's see, what terms do we have that are alike? Both 2x and 3x both have the variable x. I'm going to combine them. They're both positive, so we'll use addition. 2 plus 3 is 5x. I've used it, let me cross it out. And then I'm just going to bring down that plus 15. It has no other terms that are like it. And this expression, rewritten in an equivalent, yet simpler form, is 5x plus 15. Over here, our first step is actually going to be changing all of our subtraction to addition. So we're going to make what was a minus 5 plus a negative 5. Now we're going to use the distributive property to eliminate those parentheses. So we're going to rewrite this. 7 times x plus, because remember we changed it, 7 times negative 5. Bring down that dangling part of our expression so we don't forget about it. Now let's do this multiplication. 7x is our product. It's the best we can do with 7 times x. And 7 times negative 5 is negative 35. And I'll be careful not to forget about that 4 plus. Now let's identify our like terms. 7x is the only one with a variable, so it's not like any of the others. But 4 and negative 35 are alike because neither one of them have a variable. Remember, when we take a positive number and we add it to a negative number, even though we're adding, we're going to have to find the difference between the two. The difference between 35 and 4 is 31, and since this has a larger absolute value, it's going to be negative 31. We're now going to be able to include that term with a variable. Bring that down. We get negative x, sorry, positive 7x plus a negative 31. Well, since our whole goal is to write this in simplest form, we're going to remove this plus and negative and simplify it with just a subtraction sign. So this expression, rewritten in its equivalent, simplest form, is 7x minus 31. And I'll be careful not to forget about that 4 plus. Now let's identify our like terms. 7x is the only one with a variable, so it's not like any of the others. But 4 and negative 35 are alike because neither one of them have a variable. Remember, when we take a positive number and we add it to a negative number, even though we're adding, we're going to have to find the difference between the two. The difference between 35 and 4 is 31, and since this has a larger absolute value, it's going to be negative 31. We're now going to be able to include that term with a variable. Bring that down. We get negative x, sorry, positive 7x plus a negative 31. Well, since our whole goal is to write this in simplest form, we're going to remove this plus and negative and simplify it with just a subtraction sign. So this expression, rewritten in its equivalent, simplest form, is 7x minus 31. All right, for this last one, we're going to make it a little complex, take it up a notch. The first thing we're going to do is get rid of these subtraction symbols, or eliminate subtraction symbols, by turning them into addition and changing the sign of the number that follows. We'll do that here. We'll do it here as well. Now we're going to use our distributive property to distribute this 6 to both of those values within the set, within our parentheses. So we will take this and we're going to multiply negative 6 times 2x plus, because we made everything addition now, negative 6 times negative 3. Don't forget about the other parts of the expression. We're going to go ahead and bring them down so that we don't. 5 plus, and then over here we're going to add that 5x. Not quite done with the distributive property yet. Let's do that multiplication. Here, we'll multiply the numeric factors, negative 6, positive 2, to give us that negative 12, and then for our variable x, it's still being multiplied now by our numerical factor, negative 12. Bring down that plus sign. A negative times a negative will give us a positive, and in this case, a positive 18. We'll bring down the rest of our expression so that we can combine our terms that are alike. Our common factors, oops, forgot that plus sign. Our common terms, or alike terms, are our terms that contain the variable x. Even though everything's addition, we have a negative and a positive, so we have to find the difference between the two. The difference between 12 and 5 is 7. Since there are more negatives than positives, it's going to be a negative 7x. I've used them. Let's cross them out. Now we'll take our numeric terms, our constants, add them together. They're both positive, so they're going to give us a number that's even more positive. And this expression in its simplest equivalent form is negative 7 plus 23.